super excited. I've been wanting to do this segment for so long because I really want to show everyone how easy it is to make your own dressings and sauces at home. We should not be buying them. When you buy them from the store, there's some really good ones you can get, but most of them have a lot of ingredients in them that are not good for you and that are really unnecessary. So this way, when we make our own dressings and sauces at home, we can be aware of what's in the recipe. We can control the amount of sweetener, we can control the amount of fat, we can add in so many more nutritious ingredients where it's going to add so much more nutrition boost. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. So I'm going to show you how to make 2 dressings and 1 sauce. And we're going to talk about flavor balancing, because flavor balancing is so important when it comes to making any dressing or sauce. And the reason being, if you have these 4 elements, these 4 main components, 99% of the time, your dressing or sauce is going to turn out great. So let's first talk about flavor balancing. So there's 4 main components when we're flavor balancing. There's fat, acid, salt, and sweet. And now within those components, you have so many options. When you have those 4 components added to any dressing or sauce, most of the time it is going to taste good no matter what the source is. And I'm going to tell you why. So for the fat sources, you can have any kind of fat from nuts and seeds, nut and seed butters, oils, avocado. Avocado is a really good one to add to dressings and sauces. Coconut butter. So I don't know if any of you guys watched my Instagram stories that I did yesterday. I showed you my dinner that I made last night, and I made a coconut curry with some coconut butter. So I love using coconut butter in dressings and sauces. It is super nutritious. It's actually really sweet as well, so it adds that sweet component. And it adds a lot of flavor. So, but if you don't like coconut flavor, then you won't like this, because you really can taste the coconut. But it's amazing to add to dressings and sauces. So that's another good fat source. So for salt, salt is you can actually get from other sources than just salt. So I know, like, you can use Himalayan salt, which is what I use, but you can also use dulse flakes, and I'll show you what those are. So this is dulse, and it does smell pretty seaweedy, but I really like it. And they just come in these little flakes like this, and you can add it to your dressings and sauces, or you can sprinkle them on top of a salad. They're a really good source of iodine and add that salt flavor. So those are really good as well. And they're a good heavy metal chelator, so they'll remove heavy metals from your body, the dulse will. And then for salt, you can also use coconut aminos or tamari. So this is coconut aminos. So, but you need to just remember that coconut aminos has a less amount of salt content than tamari. It's about like 1/3 of the amount. So in this, 1 tablespoon of coconut aminos is 300 milligrams of sodium. And in tamari is about 900 milligrams per tablespoon. So just remember that if you're switching one out for the other, just keep that in mind, that if you're using coconut aminos, you'll still need to add a little bit of salt, and I do in my recipes, but coconut aminos will actually add a nice bold flavor and just that extra salt taste. And for salt as well, if you're using sun-dried tomatoes in a recipe that have a lot of salt in them, then you will want to remember that there's already salt in the sun-dried tomatoes and that you don't need to add a lot of salt. Most of the time, if you're buying conventional sun-dried tomatoes from the store, they have a very high amount of sodium, so you won't need to add salt to that recipe. So for sweet, so the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, is you can add a sweetener in order to sweeten your sauce or dressing. But you don't just have to add a sweetener. You could add dried fruit and use that as the sweetener. You can add onion powder, actually adds a sweetness. Sun-dried tomatoes add a sweetness to a recipe. Yeah, so there's so many more options than just adding the sweetener itself. And then for the acid, of course, you can use any kind of vinegar. So I love apple cider vinegar. I usually use that as my acid, or citrus juice. So you got lemon juice, lime juice, orange juice. You could do grapefruit juice. Yeah, so those 4 main balancing components is all you need to create a really well flavorful balanced dressing or sauce. It's that easy. And usually you can just add in those 4 ingredients, but I always like to bring it up a notch and add in a little something that's gonna give it a little bit of zing. You know, I like my garlic and my spices. So just think of that as the base. Those 4 main components are gonna be your base, and then you can add in other things. I like to add in ginger because ginger is gonna give it a really nice zing. You can add in citrus zest, is really nice as well. You'll see as we go through these recipes, I'm going to be using a lot of spices because I like a lot of flavor. So I like to use a lot of ingredients. So the first dressing that we're going to make is a super easy dressing, which you don't even need a piece of equipment for. We're just going to literally put everything in a bowl, whisk it together, and then you have a super healthy, flavorful dressing that you can keep in the fridge for 3 to 5 days. And I love to do this when I'm doing a lot of my prep. I'll prep a dressing ahead of time and I'll have one dressing in the fridge or a couple depending on what I want to make. And so that I can it's literally just grab and go. I don't have to make a new dressing every day. A raw dressing will last in the fridge about 3 to 5 days in a sealed container. And I just put them like in a sealed mason jar like this. And this is one of my favorites because it's so easy. You don't need a piece of equipment for this at all. You don't even need a blender. We're just going to put everything in a bowl. It's that simple. Okay, so I'm going to put in the almond butter, and you want a runny almond butter for this. You don't want one that's super dry, otherwise it's going to be really hard to whisk up and then you might have to blend it. So we're just going to put in the almond butter, and then I'm using 2 salt components, which is the coconut aminos, and I'm going to be using a little bit of salt. So I'm going to put in the coconut aminos into the bowl, and then some coconut nectar. Now, for those of you who are in my online course, and those who know me or who have been following my work, you know how much I'm obsessed with coconut nectar, and that it's my favorite sweetener to use because the one that I get is actually raw, and it's full of vitamins, minerals. It's low glycemic, it's low on the glycemic index, and so it's actually very nutritious for you. And it's actually not as bold as a maple syrup. It has a little bit less of that bold flavor, so it's pretty neutral to use across most things. Just keep in mind that coconut nectar is dark, and that if you want to use it in a recipe that you want to keep a light color, that it might darken it a little bit. And then we have some lime juice. So we're going to use lime juice in this recipe instead of lemon juice because it kind of just goes with the whole pad thai flavor. And then we're going to use a microplane grater, or it's also called a citrus zester. Same thing, microplane grater, citrus zester. And I'm going to put in some ginger. And I'm just going to grate it in like this. And you want about 1 teaspoon. And you guys, I'm going to be putting the recipes for you in the comment section below after the video is done. So you will have the recipes for this, just so you know. So let's grate up this ginger. And this is just going to add a really nice thing. I like adding fresh ingredients whenever I can instead of the powder. So if I can add in fresh ginger, I'm going to add in fresh ginger besides the ginger powder. And of course, if you don't have access to fresh ginger, you can use ginger powder as well. It won't taste really the same, but it will have a little bit of ginger flavor, but it's not going to be as potent as what you would with fresh ginger. And then I'm going to add in some grated garlic. So I love fresh garlic as well. I'd rather use fresh garlic than garlic powder. Let's get that in there. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm adding a lot. If you don't like a lot of garlic, you can add in as much as you want. It's totally up to you. Get that in there. That's simple. Okay. going to put this to the side. So we have almost all of our ingredients in here, and then I'm going to add a little bit of dash of cayenne pepper just to give it a little bit of spice, and then some salt. You can add as much salt as you like. I like salt myself. And then we're literally just going to whisk this up, and if we need to add water, we will. I can see that I am going to have to add a little bit of water. And you can thin this out as much as you want as well, add as much liquid as you want. And we're just going to literally whisk this up until it is all combined. There is our dressing. And again, like, look at how easy that was. I didn't need any equipment. I just put this in a mason jar. I'm going to put it in there. And then this dressing will last me for about 3 days, but there's not that much dressing in here, so it'll probably just last that 3 days instead of 3 to the 5 days, because it is a small amount. And then you can label it if you want. So there we have our beautiful, flavorful almond ginger dressing. So this nacho cheese sauce, this one's a base of cashews, and I've just soaked the cashews for a couple hours and then rinsed them really well. And then we're going to use some soaked sun-dried tomatoes. Now these ones have less salt than the normal conventional ones that you get. So I am going to add in salt as well, and you definitely want to soak them to make them easier to blend. And then, so the sun-dried tomatoes, do you guys, now that I've taught you about flavor balancing, what are the sun-dried tomatoes going to do? Okay, so the sun-dried tomatoes are going to actually add a sweet component in this recipe. You can add a liquid sweetener or a different sweetener to this, such as coconut sugar or coconut nectar, but you really don't need to. Okay, and then so for the acid, we're going to add in some lemon juice, but you know what would also be really good in this is some apple cider vinegar. So I'm going to keep this on hand as I go and taste it to see if I want to add some apple cider vinegar. And then I have all my spices. So I have smoked paprika, cumin, chili powder, salt, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And I'm using a lot because I want this to be really flavorful. And then to give it that cheesy flavor, now this ingredient I'm not a huge fan of, and I just use it in moderation, so which is nutritional yeast. So you just want to use nutritional yeast in moderation. I don't use it every day. I use it once in a blue moon if I want to add a cheesy flavor to this dressing. So nutritional yeast, for those who don't know, it's very, very highly processed. And a lot of people say that, well, it's a vitamin B12 source, but don't forget it's fortified with B12. It's not naturally occurring. And then for this recipe, we're also going to add a little bit of water. And then I also love to add to this recipe chickpea miso, and you can also use regular miso, and that's going to give its umami flavor, but I don't have any miso right now. And as you know, the situation with the grocery stores, I wasn't going to try to venture out to the grocery store to get some, so I'm going to make it without the miso, but in the recipe, it will be in there. So this recipe we're going to blend up. So I'm going to put it in my blender. This is going to make a lot of sauce. So then we're going to add in the nutritional yeast, the lemon juice, and then all of our spices. Just throw that in there. And then, oh, I already have my salt in there actually. So I'm going to put this aside. And then we're going to add in about a half a cup of water, but I might need more. But we'll see. We'll see how thick I want this. We're just going to play this by ear here. Okay, I have to get... This is my lid. And you'll probably definitely need your tamper for this. Okay, so I'm going to blend this up. it starts going really easily, blending and getting really smooth. So I'm going to taste this first before, just to make sure, because I might want to add in some apple cider vinegar. Yum, yum. I know I'm forgetting something in this cheese sauce. I forgot the garlic, you guys. So I definitely want some garlic. So I'm going to add in some garlic, about half a clove, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of apple cider vinegar because it needs some more acid. So just remember, when you're adding apple cider vinegar to recipes, it's very strong. You don't need a lot. So let's blend that up again. So every good chef will taste their stuff as they're making it. So you just want to taste it as you go to make sure that you are not missing something, or if you need to add something a little bit more of. See, so now that's good. So the apple cider vinegar and the garlic is what really rounded it off. Oh, it's so good. I wish you guys could taste this. But don't worry, you're gonna get the recipe, but look at how smooth that is and thick. So like I do all the rest of my dressings and sauces, I'm just gonna put this into a container. So there's our lovely nacho cheese sauce. Doesn't that look good, you guys? Tastes so good. So this next dressing, for the fat, I'm going to use hemp seeds. So I have to open this new package I have here. I love using hemp seeds in dressings because hemp seeds give a really creamy consistency. So you can use hemp seeds in place of cashews in a lot of recipes, but just keeping in mind that hemp seeds have a very nutty flavor. Okay, so you have to think about the flavor of whatever you're making before you sub the hemp seeds. But this is why I love using hemp seeds in dressing, because it makes it so creamy and delicious. And then another little trick to put in salad dressings, you guys, is zucchini. I love using zucchini in salad dressings because this also helps replace the oil and adds a lot of consistency to the dressing, as well as helps emulsify and adds water. So it helps add that liquid component to the dressing as well. And I'm such a sucker for green dressing, so this is what we're gonna make. I love green dressing. I think that it's because if you look at a green dressing, it just looks healthy to me. It makes the dish look really healthy. It's a really nice, vibrant color. And then, because it's a green dressing, I want to add in some green powder, and I like to do this a lot when I'm making a green dressing. So this is a greens powder that has organic alfalfa leaf juice powder, barley grass juice powder, oatgrass juice powder, wheatgrass juice powder, spirulina, chlorella, sea kelp, parsley, broccoli, cabbage, kale, dandelion leaf, broccoli sprout, and dulse. And it's all organic, and literally that's all the ingredients in this green spectrum. So I put this in my smoothie every single day, and I'm going to add this to my dressing today because I don't have like chlorella or spirulina, but this is going to be amazing in the dressing. So I'm going to use that as my green powder. You can also use moringa. Actually, let's add a little bit of moringa too, just for fun. So I have some moringa powder. Let's just add a little bit of that. Let's add an extra boost of iron and protein. And then we're going to use some, another superfood powder that you can use, you guys, in place of a sweetener is lucuma. And I am adding a fresh component to this as well. I'm just going to add in some fresh cilantro. So you can add in any kind of fresh herb you want. I usually love to add basil to my dressings, dill, parsley, cilantro. Again, this is literally all I have on hand right now is some cilantro because I haven't gone to the store because I'm a little bit scared to venture out to the huge lineups and who knows what's left. So anyway, back to the lucuma powder. No problem. Okay, lucuma. Lucuma is a Peruvian fruit, and then it's ground into a powder, and we use it in dressings and smoothies as a natural sweetener. So if you guys have never had lucuma, it actually smells like, remember that Lipton iced tea powders that you used to get? I don't even know if those are around anymore, but that's literally what it smells like. It's really good. It's really high in vitamin A, beta carotene, and really good for you. So lucuma actually will also thicken up the sauce instead of just adding sweetness, which is awesome. So yeah, if you don't have lucuma powder, get some. It's a great alternative to sweetener. And then, and onion powder. I absolutely love onion powder. And I will add some garlic to this one too. You guys should see this garlic that I got. Like, it's huge. One garlic clove is like the size of 3 cloves normally. And then we're going to add in some onion powder. Onion powder also adds a sweetness as well. I absolutely love adding onion powder to any of my recipes. It will also actually kind of give a little bit of a cooked flavor as well. So that is really good. And I need a knife. So I'm going to chop up the zucchini. Now, because this is a green dressing, I'm going to leave the skin of the zucchini on. If you guys are wanting to make a dressing or a sauce with the zucchini, but you want to keep it white or light in color, then you would want to peel it so that it doesn't turn out green. So I'm going to use half of this, or maybe, I'll see here. I'm using half and a little bit. Then I'm going to add some of this garlic clove because it's massive. I don't need this whole thing. So probably half of this. And if you guys can't handle raw garlic, you can always roast the garlic before you add it into a recipe. Because raw garlic is very pungent and can be really, really spicy as well. So we have our zucchini and our garlic, and I'm going to put in my cilantro. And actually, I'll just measure this out for you guys so I can give you guys the recipe after. So let's see how much hemp seeds. We'll probably need about a couple tablespoons of hemp seeds. Then we'll see if we need to add more. And I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of onion powder. So I put in 1 teaspoon of onion powder. And then I'm going to add in some moringa powder. So this is half a tablespoon of moringa. If you guys have never tried moringa, it's an amazing superfood. They actually use it to cure malnutrition because it's so high in nutrients and protein and iron. It's absolutely amazing stuff. And I'm adding in some of my green spectrum. I might add in a little bit more, but we'll see here. And then I'm going to grab my lemon, because so the lemon in this recipe is going to be our acid. I just find that lemon juice goes really nice with green dressings. And you can just get a citrus press like this and just put in the lemon juice like that, really easy. And actually I'm going to grab some more lemon. I like lots of lemon. Adds a really fresh flavor to the recipe. And it also helps preserve it. So lemon is also going to act as a natural preservative. It's going to help everything from oxidizing. So I'm going to blend this up and then I'm going to taste test it and we'll see what needs to be adjusted. So we have our hemp seeds, which is our fat. We have the onion powder, which also gives it a little bit of sweetness, as well as the lucuma powder is going to help sweeten it. We have our greens powders. We have the zucchini. And, oh, we need our salt, don't we? We need to add our salt component. So let's add some Himalayan salt. That was probably about half a teaspoon. So I'm going to blend this up and then I'm going to taste test it and see what else we need. Okay, so sorry, I know that's loud, but you can see it's actually really nice and thick, and that's because of the lucuma powder. So let's taste test this and see what else we need to add, because most likely we will need to adjust. So it's really acidy. So in this case, I'll just give you a little lesson on how to fix flavor balancing as well. So if it's really acidy, you can add more fat to decrease the acid, or you can add more sweet. And in this case, we added in 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds. I think that's enough. So I'm going to add in a little bit of lucuma powder, a little bit more. And then I think that will really help it. And there's definitely enough salt in there. I don't need more salt. I think this is going to be good. It's really nice and green. Yeah, that's good actually. And it's funny, you can't really taste a lot of the garlic in there. And if you want it sweeter, you can always add in more sweetener, but this is really good. I like to have dressing sometimes where I'm not adding sweetener and I'm just using like a superfood powder to sweeten. And one more note, this is pretty much a heavy metal detox salad dressing because we have the chlorella and the spirulina that's in the green spectrum powder. And then we're adding the cilantro, so the two together, so chlorella and cilantro actually work together to pull heavy metals from your body. Let me just grab my spatula and put it in here so that I can show you guys really what it looks like. It's nice and thick and creamy, flavorful, has so much flavor. Ginger, again, would also be good in here as well if you want to add ginger. I just want you guys to really like play around and just taste as you go and just add in components and spices. And it's really easy. Like it's gonna be like nothing for you guys. It's gonna be really easy to do. You guys are probably gonna get really creative and come up with some awesome stuff. Alrighty, so if you guys do go ahead and make a dressing or a sauce or any of these recipes, post them in the Facebook group and I wanna see pictures. I wanna see what you guys are doing. And like I said, I want you guys to get creative. So I'm just gonna put them all here. So this was our, here is our, almond, 3 island almond ginger. That's what Fabian called this. So 3 island almond ginger. And then we're gonna call this a heavy metal detox dressing. Okay. And then we have our nacho cheese sauce. So I'm really excited to use all of these. I have lots of dressings now. It's gonna last me until the apocalypse ends. So I have lots. Perfect, thank you guys so much. It was so good to see you all. I really appreciate you guys being here. And I hope again that this was helpful. And you guys all have an awesome day wherever you are. I hope you guys are all good and that you're doing well and that mentally you're okay and just getting through this. And like I said, we just need to stay positive. So you're welcome so much. And you guys all have an awesome day.